Hey, so it's Ryan Martin from Revive coming to you with another video testimonial, this time from a lovely lady called Colebatch. And when Julia came to us, she'd been suffering with chronic fatigue, otherwise known as ME, for a long time. And it got to the point where she couldn't leave the house. She'd been to see the doctors, consultant specialists, none of which could help her, except for put her on multiple medications, which was just making her worse. She was also suffering with crippling gut issues, severe anxiety and depression, and this had led to her also losing the business that she worked so hard for and she loved. So here's Julia's story. Enjoy, and I'll see you on the other side. So Julia, can you just explain a little bit about your background, the issues you were having before you seen it, before you come to work with us, and the things that you tried to overcome them but had failed?
Okay. So I first started with chronic fatigue over 20 years ago. I did manage to recover very slowly. Probably took me about 10 years on that, and then I was fairly fit and well. Usually always tired. But I started my own business, which was amazing. Had fantastic 10 years doing that. I was always tired, but I managed my time and paced myself. Um, but I was always weak. If anything happened, if I got a cold or if anybody else in the family was ill, I would get it twice as bad and take longer to recover. So about 4 years ago, I had really bad bladder issues. I'd always had suffered with cystitis when I was little and a lot of kidney infections. But I got this pain and in my bladder. I went to the doctors and they referred me on and on and on. I'd had kidney stones. They thought it was that I cleared them. The pain was horrific. I'd also had my gallbladder removed in that year as well. I had severe pancreatitis, was rushed straight in, treated for that, so I had my gallbladder out, and then these bladder issues, and everything just kept coming at once. So I could feel myself getting, weak in my system. Um, the bladder pain was so intense. I was on all my pelvic area, my groin, everything. A couple of times back in hospital, they couldn't find a problem. So I had a cystoscopy, and I can only say that he was barbaric. It was horrendous, and he said he didn't find anything. So I was at my wit's end, and I went to a private gynecologist, and she said she thought she knew what it was, and she thought it was this interstitial cystitis, and referred me on to another guy who specialised in this. So he treated me. I was on 5 different medications for this, and he gave me Botox in my bladder. It did work. It was got rid of the pain a lot, but it was still always there niggling. And I was still really down and ill. Couldn't seem no energy at all. And then I started with the bowel problems, constipation, diarrhea. Bowel was so blocked up. They put me on loads of laxatives to clear my bowel out, and this was and at this point, it was just before I got in touch with you. And my fatigue was really bad. I just couldn't do anything. I was 90% of the time in bed. I literally hadn't left the house for weeks, months. I'd also that year that I had my gallbladder and my bladder problems, my constipation. I'd also had pneumonia, and it was at that point because all through the bladder problems and everything else, I'd said to my daughter, "We'll keep going with the business. We'll manage," and she was managing. And then it got to the stage where I had pneumonia, and I said, "I'm not going to get over this quickly. We're going to have to sell because it wasn't fair on her." She was trying to run the business. I was literally dragging myself to work. I was also going through a divorce, which was not good. And so my mental health, with all that going on, was really bad, really bad. I've never been as bad. Um, I remember going to the doctors because at the time my daughter living over in Sydney was having, was diagnosed with a tumour in her ear, and it had to come out. It was close to a brain stem. So I was manically worried about that. She was over in Sydney. It was all the time the operation was going to be on. The divorce was horrendous. There was court hearings, and it was a nightmare. So my mental health was also really, really bad. And I remember saying to the doctor, he said, "Well, what stress are you under?" And I was literally reeling them off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And when I came out, I sort of laughed to myself because the day before we'd had to have our little dog put down who we'd had for like 20 years. He was the family pet, and I came out and I thought, and I didn't tell him the dog died as well, you know. And just they put me on more antidepressants. So I was on antidepressants. So I was taking all the meds for my bowels, my bladder, my mental health was bad, and I was just probably at the lowest point I've ever been. Yeah, that's how bad I was with everything.
And did, just before we go on to the next point, did they ever talk to you about diet and lifestyle?
Never. Never, not once, not once. The only person that mentioned the diet was when I went to see the Urogyne man who dealt with my bladder. He did actually give me a diet sheet for the bladder, which I put in place because he said that a lot of problems he found had come, was helped through diet. But it wasn't. It was only not very specific, or it wasn't anything that I thought I wasn't doing at the time. Because it was funny last night when you mentioned about you thought you had a healthy diet. I thought I had a healthy diet. I didn't eat junk food. And I ate vegetables, and yes, I thought I've got a healthy diet. I eat healthily, but now I know, no.
It's something that I was, yeah, it's something that is quite a common theme, that it's what you think is healthy in the main. Because people think, yeah, it's it's different what we're doing when it comes to actually letting the body heal. So, didn't
Yeah,
really mention diet and lifestyle, which is a common theme amongst our clients. So, what was it? So you mentioned that you had quite a lot going on. What started off as
yeah,
chronic fatigue, you had 4 or 5 other issues come up on 4 or 5 different medications. You mentally were you said your words were you were in the worst place you've ever been. So,
yeah.
what led to you find? Well, obviously you mentioned it was affecting your life, affecting your job. You couldn't, or had to sell the business. So, how did you find us, and what led to you reaching out to myself?
Well, I don't know how. I was following you for a while, a long while. I can't even remember now how I found you. Something must have come up on some things, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna follow this guy. And so I've been following you, and then I saw a testimonial from Dave about his chronic fatigue, and it was the August bank holiday. It was just after that, and everybody had been out enjoying their lives, and my family had all got together, and I was at home on the sofa, feeling absolutely dreadful. Literally couldn't put one foot in front of the other, and I was just so depressed about it all. It was lovely weather. I couldn't get out. I was in bed most of the time, and then I listened to Dave's testimonial on his chronic fatigue. And I remember looking at him and thinking, well, he looks well. He hasn't had what I've had. He can't have had what I've had and recovered, because it's insane. And then now, yeah. So I think I put a message on Dave's testimonial, and he replied. And there was a couple of things we said to each other, and then you said, "Let me ring you." and I was sceptical, and I was just looking at Dave thinking, no, he wasn't. And I've seen a couple of other testimonials and thought they look really well.
This is the,
You know,
this is the
it
problem
must
we
have
get.
not have been as bad as me.
Yeah, so people, this is the problem we get. People almost don't believe it. This is the
Yeah,
thing, and I know because if people have seen my skin before, what I was like, and like how
yeah,
I was, they wouldn't believe it. Even people say you didn't have any skin issues. It's like
yeah.
trust me, and so
I know,
it's something that we
I
have.
know.
That's just why it's important to do these videos because
Yeah, yeah. Well, I can tell you, I was bad. I was laid on the sofa, looking horrendous, feeling horrendous, um, depressed. You know, my family were worried about me. Everyone, you know, so I was. I have to say, this is not the me that spoke to you on the phone 6 months ago.
exactly
Yeah.
awesome. And so like you were skeptical because of what obviously you've been to the doctors, you hadn't been able to and been able to heal, etc. So what was it that made you take that jump?
I think because you were somebody who you've been there, you had been there, your story, and it kind of reminded me a bit of what I was like 20 years ago. That you know, I helped quite a few people afterwards with not just chronic fatigue or whatever, but if they had anything, I was always caring and empathetic towards people. And because I'd been there, and I knew what it was like to be chronically ill, and I thought, well, you've been there and you've recovered, and you must be doing something right. So I'd had enough. Enough was enough. I didn't want to be this person. I know you said like before, some people are defined by their whatever they have. I didn't want that. I wanted my life back. I wanted a job. I was gutted I'd had to sell the business. It was my life, my baby, you know. I just, and yeah, I wanted to be back out there. I wanted to be out there next August bank holiday or whatever, and I didn't want to be on the sofa. I didn't want to not be able to see my family and spend time with my family. This doesn't define me, you know. So I was prepared and willing to do anything to get better. Yeah.
Almost making me choke up here. They were talking about that. It's really emotional. That's awesome. And so, as I know what it's like to be there. So when we come together and we had a chat, and then I said you could help. We put together the program. And so, what were like first thoughts of like the program? Were you excited to do it, and also the results you started to see? How quick did you start to receive results?
Well, I was excited. I was a bit nervous because I didn't know what you were going to have me doing. I think I remember saying to you, "Don't have me doing exercise because if I start doing exercise, that'll be it."
No, that's not what we do.
And
No.
so I was nervous about that because other people, that's like, oh well, you've got to exercise to be well. You know, if you're not exercising, your body's fatigued. And I knew that wasn't the case with chronic fatigue. It's, you know, ME, whatever. So I think the first couple of days I was quite excited because she had us doing a couple of tasks, and I felt better. And then the biggest thing for me was literally after 2 days. So I was on all the laxatives and everything, and after 2 days I went to the toilet, and it was fine. And I was just going, you know, and I have not had any laxatives since then. So that's 6 months, over 6 months ago. 2 days. So I thought, this is good. And then going further into the program, I probably kicked and screamed a bit because I thought you were going to make me a vegan at one point.
No.
But now I know that that's not the case. Yeah, I took one day at a time, and just went with whatever you told me to do. I think my family are a bit like this because I say, Ryan says all the time. It's like Simon says this, Simon says that. I do it. Ryan says it, I do it. Whatever you say, I do. I tried my best to do. It was hard at the start because I was obviously very fatigued, and you know, I couldn't put one foot in front of the other, and so everything was an effort, you know, sitting on the floor sorting my wardrobes out, but I was doing it. I was everything I was trying to do. So I just listened really, and went along with what you said.
Yeah, no, also, and that's like that's the mental and emotional side of it, like the clear.
Yeah,
Obviously, it has to get the clutter out of your mind because you know your mind was clear. But nutritionally, I've
yeah,
always said to people, most people haven't even got enough energy to heal, let alone to do physical exercise. So people that are doing that, it can it just puts stress on the body, which is why we come from a place of giving your body what it needed to heal, and it's awesome to see you sitting there today the way you are, you know. And so, what was with our so just people understand our approach, it combines nutritional and the mental and emotional. And did you find? I mean, was it different to anything else you'd done before?
yeah. No, I've never had anything. Even when I tried to sort of heal myself 20 years ago, I never thought of all of the things together. I did concentrate on my diet and nutrition, and I did have a nutritionist. But looking back now, it was nothing like this, nothing at all. And that's one of the other reasons I wanted to go with yourselves was because at the time when I was having the depression and the physical things going on, and I knew my stress load was just, and the fact that your program it deals with everything, and I needed that, and I needed someone um, to guide me because a lot of it is like when I said to you about eating, I said I've nothing to eat, and you didn't tell me what to eat. You guided me, which is going forward in my life, so that I can look after my future health. So it's learning different things. I've learned about mindset, changing mindset, So doing all these different things and changing your mindset about mental health. And if something had happened very stressful, I was then able to, with your help and everything you sent, if I had a question, right, look at it this way, look at it that way. And yeah, so it was really important to me that I did cover everything. And I think even if you've just got a physical problem, you also need that mental guidance to get you around everything because you are changing your life. You're changing your diet and your whole thinking about what you're eating, what you're putting into your body. It's different to what you've ever done in your life before. So, yeah, totally important that you get the whole thing.
Awesome,
Yeah,
awesome. And so, so you mentioned that after 2 days you had the first solid stool that you hadn't had for ages, no
yeah,
relatives. What were
yeah.
the other? So when you come through, like, what's the difference where you were then to where you are now? I mean, what's life like compared to, from 6 months ago? Because obviously our program is 16 weeks, and you decided to stay on for
Yeah,
3 months, a
yeah.
couple of months because you were getting results. What's like? What was life like? What's life like now compared to what it was like then? And how are you feeling? And how's things changed?
Totally different. So I did obviously didn't get my energy back straight away. It took a few weeks to get my energy back, but around about September, October, I was mooching about the house and doing a bit more in within about 5 or 6 weeks. But I went shopping with Dad in about October time, and I hadn't been in shops for such a long time. I couldn't remember when. So we had a lovely day shopping. And then the next day we were doing something else, and he phoned my sister up and he said, we went shopping yesterday, and I thought we were just going one shop, but she went to all of them, and she's doing this today. What's happening? And Denise said, well, it's obviously working. Something's working. So my dad was really, really shocked. And then it just was like baby steps from there. So about 5 or 6 weeks on, I can go out. I had the best Christmas I've had in years and years and years. I've always loved my family Christmases, but I've always had to go to bed. Whatever, I'll cook the lunch, I'll do whatever, and I've always had to go for a rest. And kids always know me as, oh, mum's in bed, but let's go upstairs. And that was their life, me being in bed, and where's mum? She's in bed. They didn't even have to ask, they just came up to the bed and we had family time in the bedroom. So I can go out for lunch. I still pace myself. I'm very careful. I think a couple of times I overdid it and said, "Oh, Ryan, this is no good." But yeah, pace myself. I spent the whole of Christmas Day. laughing, enjoying it, cooking. It was crazy busy. It was crazy, but it was lovely. And just gone on from there really. Again, a couple of blips because I pushed myself. I built my walks up because at first I could only walk a little bit, and then I found more walks around where I live. But the best thing is, yeah, I can see my family. I know what it's like now in isolation. This is not this. This is what my normal was like. I couldn't go anywhere. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't. I mean, again, at the time, that August bank holiday, I hadn't eaten anything for 2 weeks because I couldn't eat. I could not eat anything. I felt sick. I couldn't drink. I was sipping water that was tasted horrible. Yeah. So now I can eat what I want to eat. I've lost weight. I didn't go into this to lose weight by any means. I probably would have been happy if I'd have lost a stone, but I didn't go into it to lose weight. But I have lost 2 stone. I feel better for it. I like my body again. My body seems to be in a different shape. I don't carry the weight where I carried it before, so that's a bonus. But yeah, it's just so different. I can't tell you, from being stuck in bed, 90%, 100% of the time, to now being able to go out, and even though I'm pacing myself, and just be out in the world. My goal is to eventually get back to work, but I'm not pushing it. I take every day as it comes, and I'm just grateful that I can get out of bed. And my goal at the start was, well, I'm cooking now. I can cook my tea. I'm preparing, because I couldn't do that. I couldn't prepare meals. Couldn't cook. So that, it's great. I can cook my own meals and do what I want. And that was my energy for the day, just concentrating on what I was putting in my body. My whole energy went into that. Yeah.
So from not being able to leave the house, not being able to cook meals, being on lots of different medication, not being able to have a bowel movement without laxatives, you're now able to go on walks, go and have great times with your family, cook your own meals. You've lost weight, no laxatives anymore, no medication.
Nope.
Awesome. So for anyone who's out there sitting on the fence, still skeptical or wondering, is it worth it? What would you say to them?
Yeah, 100%, definitely. I was at the lowest point I could ever have been at in my life, financially, mentally, physically. I had nothing, so I had nothing to lose. And to get your life back, just do it. Just give Ryan a ring. Changed my life completely. I hope that I'll go on from this, and I'm still learning everything. But it's this isn't me that I was. To anyone out there thinking, oh, she looks fine or whatever, this is not the me that rang Ryan. It's just expanded everything again. Yeah, do it.
Thanks so much, Julia, and loads of love. So happy for you.
No, but I owe you everything. I literally, my life, can't thank you enough. I'll never be able to thank you enough. Filling up a bit.
Right, thanks so much. So that was Julia's story. It was pretty powerful, right? And the reason I put it out is because I want you to know, whether you've been dealing with chronic fatigue or skin issues, gut issues, arthritis, fibromyalgia, whatever it may be, you can heal from this. You just got to come at it from a different perspective and give the body what it wants and needs to heal. Because the truth is, no matter what the issue, the way you heal from anything is the way you heal from everything, with maybe a few subtle differences. So if you have been living in pain and you want to start thriving in life rather than just surviving, then head on over to www.reviveyourself.co, click on the contact link, fill out the form, and myself or one of the team will be in touch with you within 24 to 48 hours. Otherwise, stay happy, stay healthy. I'll speak to you soon. Bye bye.